All right, I'm going to say the same thing I said last week. A win is a win, but we shouldn't necessarily feel good about this one. Clemson ekes out a 30-24 win against Louisville in a finish that's somewhat reminiscent of the game against UNC from a couple years ago, where Sam Howell rolls out and just comes up a little bit short of the goal line. In this game, Malik Cunningham, rolling to his right, ends up kind of tripping and falling down again. He was banged up in the game, so I'm not sure he was 100% on that play. If he had been 100%, maybe he gets closer to the pylon, but he gets stopped short. Louisville turns the ball over on downs, and we win 30-24. There's only so much you can take away from these games at this point, because Clemson's playing them all kind of the same at this point. They have one or two really good drives. They had some good defensive stops. There's a little bit of good on every part, on every side of the ball. Most of it's Will Shipley at this point. Justin Ross makes an occasional play. Will Shipley, though, again, phenomenal today. Great kick return at one point. I think it was for 75 yards. It really kept us in the game. And honestly, if he doesn't have that kick return, we're probably not winning this one. So huge play there by Will Shipley. Overall, I thought it was similar to last week against Florida State in terms of I am underwhelmed by this team as a whole, but we got the win, and I'm just happy to move on with that. Clemson does become bowl eligible now that they have this win, so they're probably going to get a bowl game down the line. I don't know what kind of bowl, what level of bowl we're going to get based on what we've done so far this season. We do finish up with UConn, then Wake Forest, and then South Carolina, obviously. So we can at least trust we're going to beat UConn, which will be nice. After that, who knows. But tonight, just a night marked by injuries on both sides of the ball, frankly. I'm just going to run through the injuries real quickly, and I'll get to some takeaways. I know Andrew Booth went down early on in the game, 12-13 left in the second quarter. I don't think he came back in from what I saw. So Andrew Booth, someone to keep an eye on there. He went to make a tackle, and his helmet hit someone's knee. Never something like you love to see. I'm not sure if that's a concussion. I'm not sure if that's a neck, something like that. We need to keep an eye on that. DJ Uiagalelei limped off with 9 minutes left in the second quarter. And at that point, I thought we were dead in the water because Tyson Pumachan, he's a better runner than DJ. He's quicker. He's faster. We saw on the first play he was in the game. The issue is no one fears Tyson throwing the ball downfield. They just don't. You can see it by the way Louisville was playing us at that point. They were stacking the box. They had no fear of Pumachan pushing the ball downfield at all. But luckily, DJ came back in the game, ended up playing most of the game overall. Dabo said at halftime that was a PCL injury, but that's kind of like your immediate analysis from just what you got on the sideline from going to the blue tent. So I don't really know what the injury is going to be. We do know DJ came back with 1:33 left in the second quarter wearing a knee brace. And he was limping throughout most of the game after that, but we'll see. Dabo said he didn't think he was going to require surgery or anything like that. Hopefully it doesn't, because if DJ's gone for the year, then really everything goes kablooey. I'm not sure we're going to win another game outside that UConn won. If DJ's gone, of course. Kobe Pace went to the locker room fairly early on. He was just coming back from an injury. So him going back to the locker room fairly quickly in this game on a call it wasn't targeting. That could have been targeting, but wasn't. That's kind of disappointing to see him get hurt again. Will Shipley then got shaken up on a call it was targeting with just 22 seconds left in the second half. But luckily he came back in and had that 75-yard kick return. Also led Clemson in rushing yards for the day with 40 rushing yards, on 13 rushing attempts. Overall, didn't run the ball well at all for Clemson. He had a 22-yard run by Will Shipley. That's a 22-yard run in his 40 total rushing yards on 13 carries, which means that his other 12 carries went for 18 yards. That's not very good, obviously. Pumachan had a 26-yard carry, which is probably the best run we had all day. So really the running game was not going for Clemson at all. But real quickly, injuries on Louisville's side, which might have actually saved us the game here. Oh, one more for Clemson. Joseph Ngata limped off in the middle of a route. Looked like he came kind of lame. He limped off the field in the third quarter. I don't think we saw him again. I could be wrong about that, but I don't think I saw him again. Malik Cunningham, he got hurt with about 5 minutes left in the third quarter. He did return about 10 minutes left in the fourth quarter, so he's out for a little while. But he came back in and was clearly hobbled. Wasn't moving nearly as much as he used to, or nearly as quickly as he usually does. And that might have really, I hate to say it, that an injury kind of turned the game in our favor considering we suffered so many injuries. But really, if he doesn't get hurt, there's a good chance we lose this game. And I say that because we had absolutely no one that was sticking with Malik Cunningham. I mean, really, from an athletic standpoint, he was just destroying us in the running game. On the 22 carries for 134 yards and 2 touchdowns. That's 6.1 yards per carry. He had a 51-yard run. He had a really awesome touchdown run early in the game. He's dynamic. He's super dynamic. We just didn't have anyone to stick with him until the very end of the game. We had a couple of guys make good plays on him in the fourth quarter. But before that, we had absolutely no one in this game anywhere near him in the running game. So if he doesn't get hurt, if it doesn't slow him down a little bit, if we don't have that 7-minute grace period where he's not on the field or not available to play, I really don't know if we win this one. But as it is, he went 12 for 20 for 174 yards. So it's not like they destroy us in the passing game, even though they did have some really nice catches down the stretch to the very end of the game. Because, of course, it has to be a stressful finish. If it wouldn't be a Clemson game. It was just a straight-out win. But, all right, let's just go into some takeaways from the game. The Clemson continued the trend of having that one really good drive towards the start of the game and then just playing like complete crap until the second half. That happened again. We have 1 or 2 really good drives in the first half all the time. Same thing in the second half, really. We have anywhere between 2 to 4 good drives a game, and that's about it. And it's always shocking to me because those 2 to 4 drives look so good, so crisp, and then you get nothing like it for the rest of the game. It's just so weird. But that's exactly what happened to Clemson. Luckily, that happened for us after Louisville scored, I believe. So we kept ourselves in the game with that play. The muffing the punt, I can understand why he muffed it. Usually I say if you muff a punt or muff a kickoff or anything like that, I'm immediately pulling you and putting someone else back there just because if you can't do that one job and just secure the ball, I just can't trust you to do it. This case a little bit differently. This case worked out a little bit different. One of the Clemson guys pushed one of the gunners for Louisville, I believe, and he kind of clipped our return man, which is why the ball got muffed. So it's not a penalty because our guy technically pushed him into our return man. So I can understand why the muff happened, but obviously it's frustrating for a number of reasons. DJ, I'm really not sold on DJ anymore. I liked DJ a lot going into the year, and I feel bad for all the criticism he's taken because he's obviously just a young guy. He's just a kid. But he missed Bo Collins on a potential touchdown, which is over 30 seconds left in the first half. Completely just whiffed him. Just whiffed on the throw. It was actually closer to being intercepted than a catch for a touchdown. And it just doesn't make a lot of sense to me how he possibly could have missed that throw. So, and it's unfortunate because he's done that a lot this year. He has had a lot of very just inaccurate, bad throws. And we saw a little bit of that last year, but it was a lot of the shorter stuff. And it was just a little too high usually was what was going on with him. He was throwing the ball a little bit too high. Now it's just splaying it all over the field. That's points, and it's just driving me crazy. But one really bad missed throw that could have really changed the fate of the game. Luckily, it didn't have to get that one. Davis Allen scored another touchdown in this game. I love Davis Allen. He's so incredibly underrated. And I know that, unfortunately, Uiagalelei had to get hurt for him to really get these opportunities to play and really showcase himself. But we saw a little bit last year. Davis Allen is incredibly consistent. Like Dabo said, he's incredibly underrated. He's just such a stable force in this offense. So he's incredibly underappreciated. And he's someone that he's just phenomenal to have in this offense because we need someone like that. The offensive line, frankly, the offense and defensive lines were getting bullied for most of the game today. Defensive line did eventually bow up in the second half. Actually, more likely in the fourth quarter. They kind of started to get sturdier and really stopped that Louisville running game. But before that, the defensive line was getting blown off the line of scrimmage by Louisville's offense. Our offensive line, Jordan McFadden's the only guy who was doing anything. We saw DJ get pressured quite a bit. Really, like I said, McFadden's the only one out there who's an above-average starter for the ACC, I believe. So, that, of course, we're missing Matt Bockhurst. He's hurt. But Jordan McFadden, the only guy on that offensive line right now I trust. Like I said, the 76-yard return by Will Shipley was... Without that, we probably don't win the game. There was... what was it? It was a Louisville turnover. I forget what led to the sequence, but Clemson gets the ball back deep in Louisville territory. I think it was a turnover, but I think it was a fumble. But for some reason, I'm blanking right now. We get the ball back deep in Louisville territory, and we go for it on 4th and goal, and we have Phil Maffa out there. We have a whole package of a bunch of guys who are just absolutely should maul anyone in their way, and we get stopped, and it's a turnover, and we leave 3 points on the board at least, and we don't get the touchdown. We're right there. It's just kind of a huge waste. I think it was actually That might have been actually right after the Shipley kickoff. Yeah, I think it might have been the 76er return for Shipley. We didn't actually score on that, I'm pretty sure. It ended up being that we got a goal line situation and we didn't score at all. But like that cannot happen against Louisville. It just can't happen against Louisville. It just can't. It shouldn't happen in any game, let alone Louisville. But well, beyond that, obviously the controversial call that everyone's going to talk about is going to be that touchdown catch. That was not a touchdown catch. You know, was it a touchdown? Did his foot step out a little bit? It's really hard to tell. Even on the replay, I couldn't really tell between the timing when he caught the ball. I think it was Justin Ross, and when his foot kind of went out a little bit, it looked like he was very close to the line. When I initially saw, I thought he was definitely in. They ended up ruling it not being a catch in the end zone. Everyone knows the play I'm talking about. I forget what time it was. I didn't give a timestamp for it. But I was just, that was so frustrating to see because I really thought it could have been called a touchdown, but obviously it wasn't on the field. And it didn't matter in the end, but had we lost that game, everyone in Clemson Nation would have been just on fire over that non-touchdown call. And the last thing I want to talk about really is Clemson decides to kick a field goal, make it a 6-point game. Late, once they stop Louisville. They get this epic stop on Louisville. They have Malik Cunningham retreating. We have 2 back-to-back stops against Malik Cunningham. The offense gets the ball, and we do absolutely nothing with it. There's no aggression whatsoever. We're basically content to just make them try to waste timeouts, or we're going to run the ball for 1 or 2 yards here or there and going to kick the field goal. We go up by 6. So Louisville has to get a touchdown. I just wish... I recognize their strategy in not being aggressive there and not risking, turning the ball over and not getting any points in that situation. I just wish we could trust the offensive to be risky in that situation. Like, if Trevor Lawrence is out there and Travis Etienne's out there, I think Amari Rodgers is out there and Cornell Powell is out there, I think we're generally going to try to score in that situation or at least get the first down. But we're not going to do that with DJ Uiagalelei, with Justin Ross, with Will Shipley, unfortunately. We're just not going to do that with this offense because we can't trust the offense to be aggressive and not make mistakes, which is just really unfortunate because it takes so much out of what Clemson has potentially to offer in these situations. Yeah, but then Clemson kicks the field goal, and Louisville marches right down the field, and we have that epic finish that I talked about in the opening. It is what it is. The defense is so banged up. It got more banged up today. The offense is just not making big plays. Whenever there can be a drop or someone's foot is just barely touching the line to be out of bounds, or it's DJ just misfiring an open guy down the seam, whatever it is. The offense is just so mistake-ridden at this point. Will Shipley's really the only guy I trust, even though Will Shipley dropped the pass against Pittsburgh that should have been a touchdown. He's one of the few guys I really trust in this offense to hold up. Jordan McFadden being another one. Davis Allen being another one. But, even Justin Ross, who I was a huge defender for going into the season, it's just not been there this year. And Ngata looked like he really got himself hurt. Looked like he pulled something, like I said, he came kind of lame going out of a break. So I don't know what we're going to see about him. Frank Latson has not been healthy and around. So it's just... E.J. Williams has not been nearly as impactful as I envisioned him being this year. It's so crazy how this offense has been such a letdown, unfortunately. But defensively, as I said in the past, defensively, it is what it is at this point. We got so many guys who are hurt or banged up. Andrew Booth certainly going down does not help. Ryan Brzee not being available doesn't help. All these situations with the injuries on defense, there's just not much more we can ask of from this unit currently based on the personnel we have available. Although I will say, not being able to counter Malik Cunningham for 3 quarters was kind of like eye-opening. That's their most talented, lethal weapon, most versatile player. I'm kind of surprised we didn't have a better plan for stopping his running game. But, like I said, it worked out in the end. We ended up winning. Hopefully we don't have these kind of mistakes in the future. But we're coming up on 14 minutes in this video. I'm just going to end it right here, guys. There's really not much to talk about. It's a win, and we're bowl eligible. So that's the good news. And we're going to beat UConn next week. The bad news just being that, what are we supposed to take away from this game, man? We're obviously not going to be a super competitive team. It's going to be hard to win the ACC with Wake losing to UNC, but it's not an in-conference game somehow, so it doesn't matter. I find it difficult to believe we're going to jump Wake and NC State here in the final weeks, but who knows. For now, guys, enjoy the day. It's a victory Saturday. Tomorrow will be a victory Sunday. Talk to you all later.